Hey, what's up everybody? So it is that time of year, and yes, we do have a Kubota in here. I just thought you might actually like to watch this video. I've got to do some work to a Kubota tractor because it's coming up on mowing season here very soon, within the next month or so. So I thought, hey, you know what, it's time to get it ready. So let's go ahead and dive right in, and I'll show you what we got going on. Okay, so I've already got the side pieces off this and the stuff so I can see what all was going on with the tractor and kind of do an inspection on it. And I'll show you what I got into. Now, when I took the side pieces off, you'll notice a staining on the inside. That is from oil. And I'll show you, this comes off really easy too, by the way. You've got 2 bolts here and 2 bolts in the rear, and then you just slide it forward off the front end. But now back to the staining. The staining is from that little jewel right there. The crank seal is leaking pretty good, so, and it's only going to get worse. While I've got everything apart, I might as well put a crank seal in it. I'm going to pull the flywheel and pull the bolts out of the little plate there that holds the seal and replace that. And I've got the Kubota approved sealant to go back on that once I got that done. In order to do that, I'm going to have to pull a bunch of stuff loose up front through here. Now, the other issue, if you can see it, is the water pump. The water pump has coolant coming out of the little weep hole, and that means it's bad. So, in order to do that, I'm going to have to pull the radiator. And while we're doing that, might as well replace all the hoses. So we have the hoses too. And here is the nice little tiny $190 Kubota water pump that we're going to be putting on. I thought that was absolutely insane for a water pump. But the other thing we're going to be doing is replacing this belt. So you'll learn how to replace the belt, and we're going to do all this together at the same time because, well, why tear into it and just do piece by piece when I can just get it all done and over with? But that's just not it. Also, if you look in the floor and you look right here, our pivot seal's bad, so we're going to have to replace the pivot seal as well. So that's another issue that we've run into. So I'm going to have to replace the pivot seal along with everything else. Already got the deck done, sharpened the blades, and greased everything. That's, you know, pretty much the same thing you do every year, but like I said, unfortunately this year's got a little bit more that's got to be done. Can we do it? Of course. Do we have to do it? Yeah, pretty much. It's a given, but that's where we're at on it, so let's start tearing it down. All right, so I'm going to start with taking out these down here on the bottom first, which are the bolts that actually hold this in place. They are 17 millimeters, and there's captured nuts on the inside. So you'll see, once I get them loose, you'll see them start to, where you can move it a little bit. Do the other thing, same thing on the other side. And now we will put this in our parts pile. And I've got 2 bolts to take loose up top. And those are right there. So I'm going to take those loose, and then we will get everything down and pull the front off of it. So, okay, this one up top here is a 13 millimeter. Of course, it's going to drop and land right in the antifreeze leaking out of the water pump, but that's okay. Stick it on there and we'll add it to the bolt pile. Man, oh man, that is on there. There it went. Sometimes you gotta turn them the opposite way just to get them to break loose. All right, now everything is loose. Now this should just slide right off. All right. Now that gives us access to the front end and the flywheel. So I'll get you down here and I'll show you what's going on there. All right, so here we have 5 14mm bolts. Now, if you notice, I left one in there for a couple threads, and that is because when I go to pry this off, wow, I can already see the seal that's loose. The seal just kind of in there, but this will catch it. It doesn't take much to get it off here. I mean, I'll be honest, it really doesn't. That should be enough. Should be able to go ahead and slide it right out. Spin our bolt out. And then lift the flywheel off. All right, and if you look, this is our seal, and the seal is loose. All right, so even though the seal can just be popped in and out with your fingers, I'm still going to take this plate off and make sure that there's nothing wrong with the plate before I reinstall the new seal. So let's go ahead and get that off. These are 10mm bolts, and it's, like I said, not a big deal to get them out of there and check it right. And I've got, you know, the approved Kubota glue to put back on it, so no biggie. Let's get this off. Now, in case you didn't already know, it is important on these little Kubota tractors to clean your gasket mating surface. Yeah, this thing had dual rows of bolts, and I mean, I guess their philosophy at this point in time was if it's worth engineering, it's worth over engineering, because I don't foresee it needing that many bolts, but you know, they're the engineers on the Kubota stuff. I guess they know more than I would, but yeah, it had, you know, 2 different rows of bolts, and I'm just like, wow, they didn't want it to go anywhere. All right, so now we can go ahead and pop the old seal out once we got everything cleaned. I'm gonna get this gasket out of the way because I don't want to break that gasket. And that's the gasket that goes on the crank. You see it just pops right out. Now the new seal, it probably is going to fit a little tighter than that. So yeah, I figured as much, because the other seal is dried out. So we can just kind of get it started here. And I'm just gonna bang it in there. Now let's see, I got it started. I don't want to do it too hard. I'm going to take it over here and tap it in. Then we should be good. All right, got the seal in, got it good and flush. Like I said, it's supposed to go in a little tighter than the other one. Now I'm going to take this seal here. There's a notch, and there's an arrow. You can line these two up, and you're good. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'll clean the back side of this seal. I don't want any debris or anything in it. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and clean the entire seal. It's just a metal seal. Alright, this should be good. And where's my arrow? There it is. Alright, so now we'll get it on there. Set that right there. Now it is time for the Kubota approved sealant. So I'm going to go ahead and puncture the tube. And if you've never used this stuff, you're in for a surprise because it is pretty hardy stuff. All right, it is pretty well tacked up now, so arrow goes to the top. We'll go ahead and get it started over the seal. Get everything lined up. And there we go. Now we can start putting our bolts back in it. I'm gonna start with the inside here. Okay, and the seal is done, flywheel's back on, we're good to go. Like I said, you saw what I had to do. Just gonna have to shake it, get it lined up, and then get it all tightened down. So now let's go over to about the middle of the tractor, because we've got to put a new belt on it, water pump, and some other goodies, and then we'll come back up here and do the front seal and the pivot. So let's keep going.